All right, today we are diving deep into an incredible tale from East Java. It's a legend that tries to make sense of the raw, unpredictable power of a volcano through a story of kings, princesses, and, well, monsters.
So Mount Kelud is obviously this massive force of nature. But what if its violent eruptions aren't just random geology? Local folklore has a different idea. It suggests they're actually driven by a deep-seated rage, one born from a story of love, betrayal, and a terrible curse. Let's get into it.
Okay, so to set the scene, we have to go way back to the powerful Majapahit kingdom. It's ruled by the great king Prabu Brawijaya. And right at the heart of the kingdom and our story is his daughter.
This is Princess Dia Ayu Pusparini, and her beauty was, the stuff of legends. Princes and nobles from all over were lining up. The problem, she had zero desire to marry any of them. And for her father, the king, this was a huge deal, like a future of the kingdom kind of problem.
So the king comes up with a plan. He announces a sayembara. Now, this is basically a grand ancient contest. The deal was simple. Any man who could prove his incredible, almost supernatural strength would win the right to marry the princess. It was the king's way of forcing the issue, to make sure his daughter ended up with a man of serious power.
And just like that, the stage was set. The kingdom's main square, the Alun, was absolutely packed with hopefuls from everywhere, all of them ready to prove their might and win the hand of the beautiful princess.
But listen, this was no ordinary strongman competition. The tasks were designed to be pretty much impossible. First, you had to bend a sacred bow that was believed to hold divine power. And if you somehow managed that, you then had to lift this unbelievably heavy, equally divine gong. These things weren't just objects, they were powerful royal heirlooms.
So, guy after guy steps up, and guy after guy fails spectacularly. Some were left with broken bones from just trying to bend the bow. Others got crippling injuries from the sheer weight of the gong. It was a complete and utter disaster.
The king is getting desperate. He's just about to declare the whole thing a wash. But right at that moment, just as he's about to call it off, a new, very strange figure steps out from the crowd.
He walks right up to the throne and with this really powerful voice asks for his chance to compete. But everyone could see this was no ordinary suitor.
This was Lembu Suro, a being of immense power, but he had the monstrous head of a bull. The whole court was just stunned into silence. The king, probably figuring he'd failed just like the rest, just sort of dismissively waved him on.
Well, the king could not have been more wrong. With this otherworldly strength, Lembu Suro bent the sacred bow like it was a toy. Then he lifted that giant gong without even breaking a sweat. He had done it. He won the sayembara, fair and square.
The reaction was completely split. On one side, you have the crowd just exploding with cheers. They had just seen something incredible. But on the other side, there was the princess. And for her, this was a living nightmare. She was so horrified at the idea of marrying a bull-headed man, she just fled the ceremony in tears.
And this is where the story takes a really tragic turn. The princess locks herself in a room, completely inconsolable. Seeing her so upset, her loyal handmaiden comes up with a desperate plan. One final, truly impossible task designed to get rid of Lembu Suro for good.
So, the new condition was devious. The princess says she'll agree to the marriage, but only if Lembu Suro can dig a fragrant well for her on the absolute peak of Mount Kelud. And here's the catch. He had to finish the whole thing in one night. This was a task designed for failure.
But once again, they totally underestimated his power. As the sun sets, Lembu Suro starts digging furiously with his horns. By midnight, the well is already unbelievably deep. And as dawn gets closer, he's just moments away from hitting water and actually succeeding.
The princess, who's been watching all this, completely panics. She runs to her father, begging him to stop Lembu Suro by any means necessary. And the king, seeing how much his daughter is suffering again, makes a fateful and deeply dishonorable decision. He orders his royal guards to betray Lembu Suro. They charge up the mountain and start shoving massive boulders and tons of dirt back into the well he had just dug. Lembu Suro, trapped at the bottom, is crying out for help, but the guards just ignore him, sealing him inside his own grave. But a being with that much power couldn't be silenced so easily. Even buried deep under the mountain, his voice thundered out, echoing from the earth itself.
And with his last breath, he utters these chilling words, a vow of vengeance, not just against the king and princess, but against the entire kingdom that had wronged him.
And his curse was terrifyingly specific. He prophesied that his revenge would completely reshape the land. Kadiri would be drowned, turned into a river, Blitar would become a barren wasteland, and Tulungagung would sink and become a deep lake.
And this, right here, is the heart of the legend. It's why it's still told. To this day, people in the region believe that every single time Mount Kelud rumbles, spits ash, and erupts violently, that it's the spirit of Lembu Suro, still trapped, still enraged, and still trying to enact his terrible revenge.
So, what are we supposed to take away from all this? Is it just a tragic myth, a story made up to explain the awesome power of a volcano? Or is it something more? A timeless warning about the consequences of deceit and the real danger of breaking a promise made to a power you don't fully understand?